Hello, Louise Sparrow, Peggy Oaks, Cinnabon Bunny, Gap Stargate. Oh, yes, and again, live at the Love Shack. So many fandoms is all over the place. Let's see who else is in here. Corrine, Matt. Hello, everybody. Welcome, everybody who is in here, who's been in and out of the chat. Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with some of the people in Europe and North America and other places because the time changed, including it hit me too. Thank you, Adega. Thank you, Adega, for texting me. I did not realize that the time had not changed, and we are in Europe right now, and but everybody else in the panel is in North America, so except for Matt. So welcome everybody. And I want to bring in a dear friend and co-host of our show, the Starfleet meteorologist, soon to be the Stargate and dark matter meteorologist, from what I hear, Katie Nicolau. Hello, Katie.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome. And finally, you made it snow at your house?
I did. Yes, we got 4 inches here, 6 inches to our north, and everyone hated it, including myself, because, Halloween and snow don't usually mix.
Oh, you've never had Halloween and snow?
Oh, I've had it before, but I have blocked it from my memory.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Great. And yes, everybody, she made it snow. She has a weather controlling device.
Call me Elsa.
People blame her when it snows. I saw that was a good post about people like, what did it say on your hood?
It was I blame you with an exclamation point. I don't know who did it.
Yeah. Awesome. That was a great post. I want to introduce our good friend, the doctor and the author, Dr. Adega Outlaw. Welcome, doctor.
Katie is such a boss. She comes in, got the head nod. I just like, what a professional. I'm just going, I have to follow that entry. Like,
well, you have a puppy, so there we go.
Yeah, it's
already one up.
She's on TV. Cute. You're on TV like every day, right, Katie?
Pretty much, yeah. 5 days a week, and occasionally on weekends if everything goes to crap.
and you're not just the weather person. You're doing like news too, right?
Yeah. Oh, you can thank the election for that. I now get thrown into the mix, which means that we get a lot of weather-related stories, but it counts as news.
You poor soul.
Oh, you know.
I want to go ahead and bring in the dynamic duo of the night. We see that Joe has a guest with him, and maybe he can introduce us to his guest. Hello, Joe. How you doing?
Good. Well, since Katie. Oh, hang on.
Oh my gosh!
I couldn't really follow Katie or Adega until you mentioned the puppy. So basically, this is mine. Not really a puppy, but I guess she's a puppy. I had to wake her up for this.
Adorable.
All right, off you go. Huge dark matter fan.
I literally have tears in my eyes. That is such a cute puppy.
Now,
oh my god,
you have not named a weapon after that dog yet, right?
I have not, and hopefully next show.
Next show.
There you go.
Something super cute but lethal.
And how is Canada treating you, Joe?
It's cold. No snow. But
I'll see what I can do about that.
Cold. Yeah, thanks.
If I suffer, everyone does.
Is Halloween going to happen in Toronto?
I don't think so.
You don't
think I don't think so. Although I've been reading articles about people making these like shoots, like these candy shoots. I don't know if you've seen them, but these cylinders that you drop the candy, from the front door, and it basically hurtles down into the kids' shopping bag. I guess. Yeah.
It's so much better than my idea of a slingshot.
I've seen those.
I was told by a coworker that I should not do that for fear of losing my job. I said I could make a news story if it's a slow night.
Awesome. Now we have a guest who's going to join us at the beginning. And speaking about Joe's pets and weapons that he creates, we have a guest who from the fandom. His name is Matt, and I think all of you have seen this on Twitter. And do you want to just tell us real quick, Joe, about the Bubba gun before we bring Matt on?
Sure. I mean, I'm pretty active on Twitter, and someone tagged me on a post about a Stargate fan who had built his own Bubba, not only a facsimile of Bubba, but I think actually kind of a cooler version. It kind of lights up, and apparently he'll tell you about it, but I was actually very impressed with his workmanship. So next show, I know where to go.
So we're going to bring in Matt and Matt Ryan. And just really quick, just an administrative thing. For those of you who are going to join us in the second half of the show to join the panel from the audience, I know who you are. I'm going to send you a link during the next 45 minutes or so. Okay. And then we'll bring you on. So you guys will have some of the audience. Joe is very gracious to want to have a panel with the audience, which is fantastic. So thank you, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
So Matt, welcome, Matt, from the UK.
Hello. Yes, all the way from Blighty.
Hey.
How are we doing?
Pretty great.
Good. Is it winter there yet, Matt? Were you?
No. It's we've got autumn rain, which is different from the summer rain and the winter rain.
All right.
That's funny. That's great. Now, Matt. So, what? Now, before you tell us about Bubba, are there several of these projects that you've taken on, or is this the first?
This is the first. Yeah, I've never done anything like this before, so it was all pretty much learn as I go.
Nice.
Nothing like this at all before.
What inspires you about dark matter? What do you like about dark matter? What is it that attracted you to dark matter?
I think it was just one of those things where I'd been working a lot. I'd stopped watching sci-fi. I'd stopped doing everything apart from work, really. And one day I just thought, this is enough. I put TV on and dark matter happened to be on. And it was just such an amazing show. I thought, I haven't been missing this. What are you doing with your life? Got my daughter into sci-fi now. Yeah, we're Comic-Cons when, touch wood, they can happen again. It was just a perfect show. Just happened to turn on sci-fi, and that was the show that was on.
It was meant to be.
It was. It was in the fates.
Wow. Now, I just want to put up real quick. I just really want to put up the real quick before he goes and shows us in person. I want to put up really quick, the post that Matt has, you guys have seen on the internet. And when I saw it, I was blown away. Mm-hmm. And, and by the way, before we continue, let's just everybody in the chat, wish Matt a happy birthday, please, because it's his birthday in about an hour, right?
In about 15 minutes.
Oh, in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was told not to celebrate before 10.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm putting up this post. Let's see the post that. Now you guys have all seen this post. I think most of you have.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show the video real quick.
That is a great prop.
Wow.
It's lighting up.
That is insane.
That is actually cool. You also you made a stand for it as well. The collapsible stand.
I saw on a tweet, you answered a question once. You said that for filming reasons, you never actually had the stand bending.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's got to be a challenge. So I thought I'd try and go one better and have a working stand.
Amazing.
Sniper Bubba.
How heavy is it, by the way?
I've never weighed it, but there was a video with my daughter holding it, and she did want to say a couple of lines, but couldn't because she was holding the gun. It was. Wow. It does actually feel like a real weapon. It's pretty much all plywood and plastic. So
you're telling me you could pull off the greatest bluff if ever a burglar came around?
Oh, yes, they would be running from the house screaming, I think. There's not a lot of guns in the UK, although I probably would have the armed police turn up an hour later.
We had a robber report you.
Do you want
Law is strange in the UK.
Do you want to pick it? Can you pick it up and show us and maybe talk us through the?
Yeah, can do. Yeah, I'll see if I may have to undo the earphones.
Sure.
See, part of me wants to wonder if you could attach like a taser to the end, so it like actually gives that electric zap.
Oh, you're twisted.
I am.
Well, Alex Malari actually said he wanted one with a flamethrower and lasers on it. So let me just. There we go. Oh.
On my next project.
Wow.
So basically, it's plywood, but yeah, the trigger works. The stand.
Awesome.
Stand works. And the battery pack designed by my daughter. So.
Wow.
Oh.
So
yeah.
Wow.
It definitely weighs a bit. Go on.
How long did it take you to actually finish to do that from start to finish?
I started it in March because I thought I was at home for furlough and lockdown, and it turned out that I was only 4 days off. So I finished it pretty much when I put the tweet out, which is about a month ago, I think, 2-3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So you haven't taken it to a convention?
No, I did take it to work, and they had a good play with it at work. Obviously, out of the public gaze, I did not want someone running around the street with that.
Hey, just jump in a taxi with it.
You're not in law enforcement, are you?
No, but if it pays better, you never know. But yeah, no, it's I'm not sure. Well, I promised my daughter I'll make a 5 jacket next, so my next project's to learn how to sew because I've never done that either.
Wow.
You will be making some incredible cosplays, I have a feeling.
I've left it a bit late. I don't know many 48-year-olds who suddenly decide they're into costume making, but takes all sorts.
There's always one.
So if she's going to be going cosplaying as 5, who are you going to be cosplaying as?
It'd have to be 3, wouldn't it? Because
I guess so. Okay.
She's going to make me carry that round the Comic-Con. She's not going to carry. It's I am the mule when we go to a Comic-Con. I carry everything she's bought, taken with her. That's I'm like the Sherpa behind.
And there's somebody who has sent you a special birthday wish there in the chat there.
That is my daughter.
Aww.
who is supposed to be sleeping. I can hardly tell her off now.
Yeah.
Wow. So Joe, what sense do you get when you see fans like just going overboard like this on one of your creations?
You know, the fans never cease to amaze. And, you know, as far back as when I worked on Stargate, you know, it's just kind of mind-boggling the work they'll put into things like props, things like costumes. And, you know, it's funny. I went to a Comic-Con, just like a local Comic-Con here, not as a guest, but just because I kind of like to walk the floor, and I'm a big fan of supervillain statues. So I usually try to source those. And there was like a group dressed as an Atlantis team. You know, even though Atlantis has been off the air for, I don't know, I want to see 10, 12 years, there's still people cosplaying, and it was amazing the work that went into these costumes. So it's the same thing as this weapon. It's amazing.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Isn't it interesting, Joe, how sometimes fans will take a concept like one step further?
Yes. In fact, you know, I was just saying, Matt, I'm going to have to hire you for my next show.
I'm always available.
All right. Good to know.
And Joe, can you give us another example? Can you give us another example of maybe of some of another weapon that's been created? Have you seen any other?
Not so much dark matter, but I see Stargate, a lot of staff weapons, a lot of P90 facsimiles. I don't know if they were actually created, but you know, that was a weapon of choice for SG-1, mainly because the cast found it very comfortable, because the way the strap hung, they could just kind of rest their arms on the gun. People always ask why the P90. That's why, because the cast found them comfortable. And you know, I've seen actually Zat guns, which are, you know, just kind of the most counterintuitive weapon I think ever designed for science fiction. But you know, the fans have actually built those as well. So again, kudos to the fans.
Oh, and have you seen, like, I've seen a lot of Zats, but I haven't seen ones that like pop up. Have you seen ones that
I've
pop
seen
up?
one that popped up, and
wow,
and was really amazed. Yeah.
Wow. Do you happen to have a Zat in your house?
I have no Zats in my house. I had a paint stick that I gave away as a fan giveaway. You know, I didn't really keep that much from Stargate. In retrospect, now I think I should have kept more. Whereas basically on Dark Matter, I was like, I learned my lesson, and I have, you know, androids, 3 outfits. I got this crazy. Hang on a sec. Keep talking amongst yourself. I'm just going to fish it out.
Oh wow.
I have one of the auction catalogs when they sold off all that stuff. It looked like they got rid of just about everything. Really? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It gives details and everything, but you don't get the actual item unless you shell out some serious cash.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm kind of imagining that it's just in the front hall closet at this point. Just like not even in storage, just let me grab this out. Oh my god.
I don't know. Oh, wow. I don't know if you can see. It's the Empress.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What? I've also got a Ryo Ishida painting that I told Alex he has to pick up, but I think he's kind of feels uncomfortable with the idea of hanging up a painting of himself at his place, which he really shouldn't. But anyways,
that's a great portrait. Thank you, Joe, for showing that.
Yeah. I love that.
What is the actress again? Who is the actress?
I don't
recall.
I should actually track her down on Twitter and see if she'd like it, because it's a handsome painting, I think.
Definitely be a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Wow, that's thank you, Joe. Wow. Okay. All right. So what did you guys think about this this episode? What was your Katie? What did you think? Ladies first. What did you think about this episode?
See, I was worried I wouldn't have time to watch it today, so I started watching it in my downtime at work, just in between, commercials and stuff. And yeah, I'm really trying my hardest not to binge this show. And I think the people at work can tell too, because they're like, well, what you doing there? I'm like, nothing. So I'm going back, I'm like rewatching the same episode, trying to, get that fix, but it's not happening. It was so good.
Wow. And what about you, Adega?
I have always been a fan of, whether it be in books or episodes, where you have the groups that work together, then they go off on their own individual little side quests, so to speak, and have totally different experiences, but they all tend to kind of relate toward the end. And I thought it was really cool, but I did have an issue with the nurse and that hat. that just seemed a little too retro for me. I thought that the whole scene was great, but the hat just kind of like, oh, come on.
I like it. It's cosplayable.
That's true.
There's a bit of that retro also in the commercial, in the Transfer Transit commercial with our Transfer Transit spokeswoman, played by Tara Yelland. Well, by the way, the actress who played the Empress is Meng Ling Tsui.
Oh,
so
wow.
There you go.
She was great. Wow. She was great. And
I'm assuming this is something that I haven't come to yet.
No, you'll get there.
Okay.
Now, what did you guys think about? Now, Matt, did you rewatch episode 4?
Yeah. I think a great thing about rewatching is when you see Katie and her comments on watching it for the first time. I know in the last episode when Fi found the gun, you see something in that scene that's nothing at all to do with the scene, but you think, oh, that's the first time we saw it. And it becomes quite a big thing later on in different seasons. And I found that you remind us what we thought the first time we saw it, because I've seen it 2 or 3 times now, and you think, oh, I remember, I didn't have a clue what that was, and then later on I do. It's a brilliant way to rewatch it with someone who's watching it for the first time.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad my baby eyes can help.
Your sacrifice for the greater good.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Joe's comment last Monday. He preferred to have your fresh perspective, and you guys are absolutely right. I agree.
Stay strong.
Yeah. I will try for the fans.
You're doing it for science.
There we go. See, now I can do it if you back it with science.
Now, I don't have too many images today, but I do want to. There is an image that you guys brought it up. Joe just brought it up. That I do want to share because I wanted to. I am thinking that my guess is that with this topic there's a lot that's been unsaid because it finished in season 3, and Joe brought up the topic of transfer transit, and Joe, was there more to be explored with that in coming seasons?
As a matter of fact, yes. There was going to be more explored with it. But I mean, this instance is really a throwaway in this episode. It's kind of an expository, heavy way of sort of introducing the tech so that when it comes up later on in the season, you're like, oh, right, of course, transfer transit. And it's something I haven't really seen done in sci-fi television. They've kind of done it in sci-fi fiction, like novels. This idea of essentially imprinting your personality template onto a clone, and essentially, basically having the clone go out and gain experiences, and then retrieving those memories for the host body. So, and I just thought, FTL is a convenient way to get around, but even FTL, there are stations and planets that it will take you forever to get to, really. So this is kind of an interesting way to travel, and it sort of creates interesting kind of plot developments later on in the series.
I appreciate that the underwear changed colors, so you could tell the difference
Yes,
between the real
totally
and the
did.
clone.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I got the biggest chuckle out of that.
Now, before I go ahead and ask some more questions about Transfer Transit, Adega, do you want to mention it? Does it bring any questions to your mind, or anything you want to say about it?
No, Joe pretty much covered it. It's something that I had never seen in sci-fi TV. There was a book series, and it fails me to try and remember. It had something to do with like the Warren system, where this guy went to 4 different planets, and each one was extremely distinctive in one solar system. And it was kind of similar to that, but it seems completely unique. I thought it was a cool idea. Also, in this episode, introducing it when Six is in the hospital, it kind of makes you start thinking about, well, could one be one of these, or a newer form of one of these? When I first saw it, the gears are running. What the heck? There's some, and it was heavy handed. It was like, oh yeah, something is going to come of this somewhere down the line.
Matt, anything you want to mention about Transfer Transit or ask?
It's hard to speak about it now because I know how much happens later on. But I think it's a great invention. I think, and the limitations of the time that your actual clone survives. I mean, that's just genius, because that way, whatever you use it for, you have a certain time to complete whatever you need to do.
Yeah, Sorry, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you can just imagine sort of if it was a real thing, the amount of frustrating times you get to go, right, it's like waking up from a dream when you don't want to. Right, that's time's up.
Right. And that's what Jace Corso essentially states. Well, he's questioning him. He's like, well, you can't be a clone because their shelf life is 1 or 2 days. And it's something that gets reiterated in the episode, a future episode, where they actually use it. And, the shelf life of a clone is only a couple of days, at which point it degenerates. So, if you can get back to your pod so that your memories can be relayed back, then, those memories are kept. But if the clone doesn't make it back in time, then those memories are lost. So the original host, I will have no idea about the experience his or her clone went through.
Oh, that is cool. Because I was going to say, I would love to have one of those in real life, and then just like throw a clone into a tornado, experience that, and then wake up and be like, I'm alive. So, all right. Well, there goes that theory.
Now, what I wanted to ask you, Joe, does I think inevitably, and I think Adega maybe is starting to touch upon that, inevitably, I would think that there would be episodes where there might be some ethical concerns.
Yeah, I mean, people have brought that up. But I mean, the clone is in effect the person, the same person, is sort of, and is aware of the process, is aware of the fact that they're only destined to live for 24 to 48 hours, and while their shell, their body will eventually degenerate, disintegrate. Their mind will live on. So it's not really a separate entity, because essentially they will just go back and join the host body and then continue living.
So let me just ask you this crazy question: if So if for some reason the consciousness was not imprinted on the clone, and the body would wake up, like it would just wake up. Would it wake up at all or not?
In that case, that's such a really good question. That's a really good question, because I think, I don't know if the body could wake up,
or would it be like a baby?
Probably, you're right. Actually, the physically, it would be built to specifications. So I mean, it would be a physical body like any other, except its mind would be a blank. So that's kind of interesting.
Because I was envisioning like some season 5 episode where somehow the imprinting had happened, and he would wake up and it would be just like a baby or something, like a newborn, like psychologically like a newborn or something like that.
Just a 170-pound ripped baby.
You know what? I smell fan fiction.
Oh,
yeah. Get into the
next week. I want a first draft on my desk next Monday.
Gotcha.
I'm getting into the science aspect with the neurology and my previous employment. There is a lot of theory where the nervous system actually contains a significant amount of the memory, not just the brain. So if you were able to imprint the body as a duplicate, the clone, when it arose, would have a certain amount of innate abilities, simply because you hear people where they get a scar, and if you touch the scar, some people go to massage therapists and it brings back memories of when they were injured or some type of childhood issue. Those stay, and it's like a holographic memory. So I'm not thinking it would be a baby. I'm thinking it would probably be close to someone who's quite confused or possibly insane, but still be able to walk, talk, and do a few other things.
So we have 2 fanfics now.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have any ideas?
Well, it could take them all the way back to episode 1, where they have the muscle memory but no memory of who they are.
Yep.
Good point.
Interesting. Wow. Ensign Ricky, thank you, Ensign Ricky. Hello, PJ. Hello, everyone on the panel. Hope all is well. Question for Joe: what is the likely chance we could get Paul Mully, I assume, on for one of these panels?
I'd say approximately 0. Paul Mully is my former writing partner, co-creator on Dark Matter, and he just kind of stays off social media. It's really not his thing. So
healthier that way.
Yes, he's basically focused on family and enjoying his life off the internet. He used to think, when I was on Stargate, he would be like, why do you torture yourself? Because the episode airs, you go online and check out what the fans think, and he would just shake his head.
Wow. Now, do you guys work on anything at present, Joe?
No. I mean, to be honest with you, we were writing partners on Stargate in the early years of Stargate, and we would obviously co-write scripts. But then, as sort of time went on, I tended to write more of the originals, and he tended to do the uncredited rewrites on other writers. So, even though we were, writing partners in name, and although we shared the on-screen credit, we kind of, went our separate ways in terms of sort of writing after shortly after Stargate.
Tony Rodriguez brings up something interesting. Like, can you get your clone to be to have a tan for this vacation? Can you get your tone tweaked? Your clone tweaked.
Oh yeah, you can potentially do anything you want to your clone. Physically, you can certainly alter it. But at the end of the day, like I said, you've got 24 to 48 hours, and then that's it.
That could be a whole season on its own.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new series.
Oh, transfer transit cures erectile dysfunction, for example.
True.
Let's see. John Burns. Hello, John. Thank you for your Canadian 5. Joe, I have a question about what's being used as transfer transit clone. Is it meat or is it sentient being?
It is not a sentient being.
Yeah.
And it is, in effect, I guess, lab-grown meat.
3D printer using cells.
Yes. You actually see them. You see it actually built in one episode later on down the line. I don't know if I can reveal that, but Katie's not here, so I guess I can.
Great. And Joe, when they just go poof like that at the end,
Yeah.
When they,
Yeah.
what is it just like loses its
structural integrity.
cohesiveness?
Yes, structural integrity, and at that point it just collapses.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this, Joe. Have you always been? I assume, like, I know you're a creative person, but you've always had a very big interest in science. I assume, right?
You would think that. I mean, I've always enjoyed science fiction, but I mean, when it came to schooling, I sort of gravitated towards literature. So I didn't take a lot of those science courses that maybe some of my friends took. So in terms of science, it was very much self-taught. Reading a lot of nonfiction and fiction as well. And then, occasionally when the situation required, I mean, you want to sound at least somewhat plausible in your script. So you do the research.
Of course. And the Ascended Ancient says, would love to see an episode where a clone never died.
Well, that would be interesting. In that instance, then you have the scenario you mentioned where if the clone never dies, then it really does become a kind of a separate entity.
Oh, and Entertainment Hacker from Japan. Thank you from Tokyo.
What?
Entertainment Hacker.
Hey,
Japan.
John. How you doing, bud? I still have a box for you. It's labeled and everything. It's supposed to be coming out to you. I can't get to the mailbox. Sorry.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, JP is in Tokyo and he's off to work and he's just wanted to say hi. Thank you, my friend.
Gambate.
Oh,
there you are.
Yeah.
You didn't think we would notice?
Well, see, I figured you'd probably notice the sounds coming from my neighbors before you would notice I was gone. I'm scarred for life.
I just saw your message.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. I just never want to see them again.
Your neighbors.
We can't hear anything, Katie. We can't hear anything.
Okay, so you couldn't hear the screams. That's good.
No. Okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
You didn't just commit a murder, did you? It's gonna be one of those situations where, oh no, she was on the panel between 5:45 and 7:15.
I have an alibi. No,
Yeah.
just if you guys ever have a knock on your door, put on clothes before you answer the door. Please, for the love of God, put on clothes.
Huh? Okay.
Hi. Okay.
Katie, they can probably hear you.
I hope they can.
Okay, let's see. We have John Burns asks has another question. If I use transfer transit, could my clone be me as 20, 25, or 30 years old instead of older character? I'm 60.
I mean, theoretically, I'm sure if you pay for the very expensive upgrade, that's something that could be possible.
Wow. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Be 10 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
See, now you end up with like 1 to 2 day catfishing events.
And Kareen, I think you kind of already answered this question. Yeah. Do you think it would be ever possible for a clone to become a separate being?
Yeah, I would say no.
Okay. I gotta say, in the fandom, Joe, I think people were extremely intrigued with the whole transfer transit thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of an interesting, technology, and it would have kind of figured into season 5, but alas.
Alrighty. So now we see here in the episode that what is it? 1 and 3 get paired off to go ahead and sell the weapons, and it turns into a little adventure for them, where they get kidnapped by Jace Corso, and I thought it was really. Katie, what did you think about this whole twist?
I really kind of liked it because, again, with this show, my favorite thing is the twists and turns. It's like a roller coaster ride. And so the unusual pairing of 1 and 3 combined with the fact that they now have to work together, I think you guys played it off perfectly with the comedy of the shuffle versus tilt, and I was cracking up. I loved the whole dynamic of it and how you handled bringing in the other one. So I'm just going to call him the other one for now.
What did you? Any questions, Matt? What did you think about? Not questions. Any comments on this whole thing with number 1 being a copy of somebody else?
Well, I think. He's not a copy. He's actually had the surgery to look like Jace Corso, and but I think the way 2 plays off 1 and 3 is absolute comedy genius, especially when she tells them both the same thing. Don't trust him. Can you keep an eye on him before they go into the? It's comic genius, and Anthony is just so funny. He plays it perfectly. He really does.
And it goes to show sort of how 2 is really the master manipulator, and why really she should be in charge. The way she kind of plays these guys off each other.
Yeah, because even though 3 doesn't think she should be in charge, he still does everything she says.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
like real life.
And they're both the guys that are into her, right? They're both. Yeah, so yeah, she is the master manipulator. Diego, any comments?
No, you guys covered it pretty much. But that one part, they both have their suspicions of each other. 2 knows it, and you wrote it great where they would think, oh, she's right. I got to watch that guy for totally different reasons, except they don't trust each other. So I thought that was really cool.
Thank you.
No, it was.
Thank you.
Joe, Reese York asked this question: when will we, when will we see an animated series?
I don't think we will ever see an animated series. I know everybody thinks, oh, it's just easier to do it as animation, and in some respects, it kind of is. But as someone who's worked in animation, I can tell you there's nothing really easy about animation. It's kind of a long process, and then you're asking the actors to come back and presumably work for like half price just to use their voices, and then it just a lot of things would have to sort of fall into place, and I don't think it's very likely to happen.
Okay. Here's an interesting comment from Uberco. The multiplicity of the movie, Michael Keaton explained cloning perspective. Michael Keaton had past memories, but not shared new ones. However, they transfer unit, the experience could be shared.
Interesting.
Lots of comments of all sorts.
There was actually a nudist colony next to my college, so familiar.
Oh.
Fun little tidbits you find out about Northwest Indiana.
It was really funny when every time I rewatch this episode now, every time 3 talks about redheads, all I see is Tilly from Discovery.
Oh my gosh.
I don't agree to nothing. Okay.
See, this episode made me like 3 a little bit more. Just I'm drawn to humor.
It's just slowly getting to you. Right?
Yeah, it's chipping away. So we'll see. I kind of like his sass.
Yeah, Joe. I know I don't. Without divulging anything, you do take. You are kind of like giving little tidbits of 3 to make him more appealing. Now there are in the coming season, and there are moments where you take a step back with him, right, and pull him back a little bit.
What do you mean?
Are there moments? Well, this is more of a question than a statement. Are there moments when you're kind of making him more appealing, but then are there moments where you pull back again?
I don't think we ever really pull back on his character. I think you see the character in a new light in subsequent episodes, and that sort of so that when he, is pulling his act, if you will, it suddenly becomes kind of endearing rather than abrasive.
Okay. Yeah, I'm slowly warming up. I'm glad to know that it's going to continue.
You still have a few episodes to go.
I so desperately want to like it.
I think about 3 or 4 more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, good to know. I just have to wait about a month.
Yeah.
Now, we see that that 5 and 2 end up at the casino,
Mm-hmm.
and any comments on that scene, Joe? About was it kind of? I guess it was interesting to put the more naive person.
The idea being that I love ensemble shows, the writing ensemble shows, because I love occasionally splitting them up into sort of unlikely pairings, and as Matt pointed out, letting them have their little adventures and then having things dovetail at the end. And so I kind of wanted to explore the 2-5 relationship, and right off the bat, you gain some insight into 5 in that for some reason she's kind of drawn to this little scam, and she's able to figure it out. And at first you think it's because she's super bright, or super quick, which is why 2 puts her on point at the card table. But then she quickly realizes, no, that's not it. But while she's watching, 2's like, well, I think, I could sit in and do this. And she does remarkably well. How is that? Well, everything is connected. Everything is kind of a hint to the characters or who they were. And it all is revealed sort of down the line. But, it's just kind of fun juggling storylines. And one of the things I just wanted to mention before I forget is I was looking through the photos for this episode. This is actually directed by Amanda Tapping, who played Samantha Carter on Stargate SG-1 for many years. And it was my first experience actually working with Amanda as a director. And she was fabulous. The cast loved her. And she really... sort of capture those humorous beats, which are so important, but also those kind of fun little visual beats. Like as I'm watching the episode, I remember her saying, like, there's a scene where at the end, Jace Corso is walking towards the door and he pulls out his gun, and she told him, like, basically this is how you kind of flip it up this way so you get that nice profile shot of the gun, and then kind of lower it as you hit the door. And she has she's a terrific actress, but she's a fantastic director as well. So, that's one thing that really stood out about this episode, was working with Amanda, and what a thrill it was.
So there, would you agree? And I think you've actually said this before, if I recall correctly, there is an advantage to a director having been an actor, right? Yeah,
I think so. In that it really, you were sympathetic or really empathetic to the actors, and you're able to understand where they're coming from in many respects. So I would say yes.
And every time she has acted, and then she has seen the finished product on the screen, and so the actor, I guess, is well aware, an experienced actor is well aware how they will be portrayed later on the final product.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
How did she end up being the director for it anyway? I know they'll apply to do certain jobs, but someone had to say, "You're it."
Well, I'm the showrunner, so I reached out to her, and over the course of your career, you work with people you like, and you continue to work with people you like. So, Jodelle landed on the show because I worked with her on Stargate SG-1 when she was 13 years old, and I loved her. And I really wanted her to have the part. I heard Amanda had been directing, and I'd used Andy Makita, who is also a Stargate director. He directs 2 episodes in season 1. We tried to get Will Waring, but he was unavailable till I think season 2. And then Amanda actually ended up doing 2 episodes for us. So this one, and then an episode in season 2, and really it all comes down to scheduling as well. I mean, if the really good directors are very busy, and you're lucky to get them. So we were just very lucky to get Amanda for this episode.
Joe, and I guess an obvious question: would there have ever been a role for Amanda down the road in season 4 or 5?
We actually offered her a role, like a small role in season 2 in an episode she was directing, but it just was she just wanted to focus on the directing, so we just let her direct. And I really kind of toyed with the idea of doing having an SG1 cameo somewhere down the line. Once we got a few more, another season under our belt, not have SG1 play SG1, but have the actors do a cameo as some sort of a team that crosses paths with the crew of the Raza. But
wow,
sadly, never got that opportunity.
Wow, amazing! Wow. Well, you know what? I didn't think about this the other day when you mentioned that. I have to ask you now. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance of a Dark Matter cameo in a new Stargate series?
I don't know. That would first of all, we would have to get a new Stargate series, and that's still a big if. That would be a conversation maybe to have with Brad as well, since he's leading the charge on that one. But I don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
All right, fans. So everybody in the audience, hashtag and tag Brad Wright. Thank you, John Burns. Did Anthony Lemke demand that 1 goes down in the gassing before 3 does?
No, he never demanded it. Possibly it was in the back of his mind, which is why maybe he delayed going down till the very end. But I mean, it's maybe it's something that went through his mind.
It's a funny question, John.
That's a question for Anthony, and like I said, we had Roger on for episode 2, so eventually I would like to get more cast members and maybe some directors on as well and guest stars as sort of the series progresses. It's just a matter of it comes down to scheduling for them.
That would be so fun.
That'd be wicked.
Yes, on charismatic music. Everybody, if you go ahead and if you can please go ahead and share the stream. There's a lot of people, including the host, who was confused about the time. So yeah, if you guys can share and let people know that we're live, that'd be great. Thank you. And Joe, I want to take advantage because sometimes we don't get to all of the sharing of the images that you send in, and I want to make sure that today we had a little bit more time to go through them, and I wanted to go ahead and share some of these. I got to say, Tom Costantino from the Orville is fabulous about doing this, and John Cassar does it a lot too. He's the one of the 2 directors for Orville season 3, but Joe, you guys, people like you and Tom and John are just you guys you're so generous with the fans, so showing all this backstage stuff that I'm about to show.
Oh well, I mean, I always say thanks. It's thanks to the fan that I am employed, so it's the least I can do.
I think, I gotta say, Joe, if I'll ask you this question off the air. I didn't want to. I'll ask you, but there's a lot of there's so much material that Joe has shared us that we may have to go through it on a separate day because
this is just a picture of the cast. Whenever they would get the scripts, they would always read it right away, Anthony used to talk about how he used to drive. He would rap, and then it would take him like an hour or an hour and a half to get home where he lived in Prince Edward County. And we would get the scripts, and he would have the script sent to his wife so that she would read the script to him over the car speaker phone while he was driving.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was always great to see how excited they always got about, whenever the new scripts came out.
Wow.
Well, we know Five, you told us before, the actress that did that, she was very quick at taking up the scripts and sometimes helping other people with their lines.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rat any. Well, if they're not going to be a guest, you can rat them out. Who was the slowest or had the most distractions in life that prevented them from, we'll put it that way, from learning?
Actually, from a professional standpoint, they were all great. None of them had really any issues getting the dialogue. They just approached it differently. Like, I think I mentioned the fact that Jodelle, I would never get any notes from her, and she would always basically just deliver a scene pretty much as I imagined it. Roger would be one who would come to my office and be like, "Hey, can I lose this line? Can I say this?" Which is always great. And Zoe used to prefer to text, and she would be reading the script and say, can I say this or can I change that? And that'd be great. Anthony was always the guy who on the day would be like, "Hey, can I?" Like, there's a scene at the very end where one goes in to visit 3, and he's sitting there and he puts his feet up and he's like, "I want to do this barefoot." And I was like, "No, you can't do this barefoot." He's like, "Come on." And I'd have this like 5
and eating
minutes.
a pork
There
chop.
wasn't an argument, but a discussion with him about the fact that no, we're not going to do it barefoot. Let's keep your shoes on. So,
but Joe,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. I mean, that was always Anthony, though. He's always like looking to add things to it. And like, 9 times out of 10, I would let him. And 9 times out of 10, it would stay in the cut because it was always great.
Joe, I swear to God, I actually asked myself at one point when I was doing the binge watch, that if we would ever see somebody just like walking around in shorts and barefoot because they live, they live on the ship. That's funny. You said that.
Well, this is Amanda in action, setting up the shot.
That's Amanda tapping?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Now, for people not in the industry, what machine is she using?
That is a good question. I do not have the specific answer to that, but essentially she's essentially, like I said, setting up her shot. I think basically she's checking out a potential lens for her next shot.
Cool.
Joe, I know you've talked a lot about the LTS sort of attitude on Stargate. Did she bring that with her, or did she learn a lot from her time on Stargate and bring that sort of directorship to the show?
Well, the LTS, life's too short, mantra came from Brad Wright on Stargate, and life's too short to work with unpleasant people, and so we tried our best to work with very pleasant people on Stargate, and for the most part we did, and it was really something that I brought to Dark Matter, and it was a very positive atmosphere. So in that respect, Amanda fit right in. So as I mentioned, the cast loved her. She's great to work with, professional, but also very warm and understanding. Someone you can talk to. So very much in that kind of frame of mind.
Oh, awesome.
Alex and Melissa. I think is that Alex's green juice or is that Melissa's green juice? Oh no, I think that's maybe Melissa's green juice.
Now, do you want to comment on 4 in this episode, Joe? He was his interesting. His role was different.
Yeah. He begins to sort of do some digging, and begins to discover a little more about his backstory and his connection to the Royal House of Ishida, and potentially the fact that he is wanted for the death of his father.
See, when I started watching the episodes, I thought, oh, he has a ring. Oh, maybe he has like a long lost lover sort of thing. No. And then when it came up, it was like, oh no, he might have killed his dad, and he's from this long line of rulers. I'm like, I did not see that coming. And now I'm actually like originally, not quite as into 4 as like say would be 3 as far as interest goes. And now that's shifted. And now I'm trying to spread my interest around with all these characters because they're all going in so many cool directions.
Exactly. They're all very different.
It's funny. We're so used to seeing 4 be so serious that seeing him smiling, he almost seems like a different person.
Yeah, I think Alex was probably the I don't want to say goofy, but kind of a guy who would laugh and kid around more than anyone on that cast. I mean, Roger is a pretty warm guy, but Alex really is a lot of fun.
Now, were there any fun pranks on set because of that?
You would have to ask them, because to be honest with you, I would try to get down to set as much as possible, but I was up in my office most of the time writing. By the way, Rice York, thank you very much. We're asking, what is that? That's known as a director's viewfinder. Allows a director to try different lenses, frame different shots, etc. Thank you, Rice.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Jodelle and Anthony. Jodelle and her vibrant teal hair. Is that teal? I guess you'd call it teal.
Yeah. Aquamarinish teal.
Yeah.
Mix.
Now you said that, Joe. You said that was native. That's her natural hair color in the series, right?
Let's just say if she uses transfer transit and she comes out the other end with green hair, then one must infer that that is her natural hair color.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't pick up on that. Okay, interesting. Wow. Okay, so just getting back to the confrontation between Jace Corso and One.
Mm-hmm.
What is the what did now? Oh, I can't ask this question.
I can unplug the headphones if you would like.
No, it's not just you; it's everybody. Okay. Any comments on that scene with the two meeting for the first time, Adega?
Oh, I was still thinking about 4 and the broker, and him starting to light up about Ashita. I'm like Katie. It was all of a sudden the ship got a lot bigger, in one shot. But getting with the first meeting, that was one of the things that I didn't really know how to take. I couldn't really draw an opinion on it the first time or any other time that, I know what the story was, but it was, I couldn't see it long term. It was not quite confusing, but
his backstory as
no, I was thinking, not even his backstory. To me, I was more drawn into how 1 and 3 were relating as opposed to any outside source. That whole thing of them trying to escape and working together. I was so tied into that more than I ever thought about his own backstory that much. Why he was there and everything. It just I just came at it looking at it totally different. Just the way I was, I guess.
Joe, do you want to take this question? I don't think we've asked it before. Why was it called Dark Matter?
It was
we did.
I think we talked about the fact that it was more kind of thematic than literal.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was one of the ones that was the fan pick, wasn't it? The show title?
No. The episode titles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the show title actually was before the fandom, pre-fandom. That's the director's viewfinder, by the way. There's the a lot of the signage. The art department would love to do that. Just put together signage for the various episodes. I think there's a later episode where they come up with they must have a blast coming up with these signs. And there's one that was like it's against policy in this jurisdiction to marry an android. So please and it had that kind of like the symbol of an android and a man with like a cross through it. Like I think the android's basically wearing a wedding dress or something. I don't know. It's just the art department had just way too much fun.
Yeah, this is a joke, right? Shao FU2, or is it
Xiaofu?
Xiaofu. Oh, okay.
Xiaofu. I'm trying to sort of cast my mind back, but I think what I did was I ended up looking up star names, Chinese and Arabic star names. So those tend to be what the space stations are named after.
Awesome.
Okay. And some Love Talk asks, do you consider it okay for kids, Joe?
I think it is. There are certain instances of violence, maybe later in the season run, but I mean, I think it's fairly safe family viewing. I don't know.
I don't know. 2 is pretty impressive in this episode, though.
I always recommend with kids, just because I was one of those innocent children, to watch the episode beforehand. And if there's something you don't want your kid to see, like a decapitation, know when to be like, and block, and unblock. That way you know, and you feel comfortable about it.
As you point out, 2 basically, really goes full out on these guys and traumatizes 5 to a certain extent. So. Yeah. Maybe 5 shouldn't be the one to watch a show like this.
If you don't want your child to look and react like 5, then maybe wait a little bit.
It was 5 for my 10-year-old. Although I don't know if that makes me a good parent or not.
I totally agree. At the same age kids, I totally agree, Matt.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Especially considering some of the stuff, like you can walk into the room with kids that age and find they're watching something a lot worse. And you'd be like,
oh, yeah. I'm more likely to be traumatized by the stuff she watches. Nickelodeon will give you nightmares for years.
Mm-hmm. Some of those modern SpongeBobs. Ooh.
I liked the marketplace, Joe.
Yeah, this was actually, we ended up building it within our studio. That's actually the underbelly set that was transformed by Ian Brock, our production designer, into this kind of outdoor marketplace.
What was the vehicle that went by?
Ian is a mad genius in that he will basically go to these industrial sales and pay, 5 cents on the dollar for these cast-off bizarre oddities that he'll either incorporate into the set or just use as background. And that car, or that automobile, that it's three-wheeled car, it was one of his finds. And so it makes an appearance here as it kind of drives down the street. And it makes an appearance, I think, in later episodes as well.
Wow. Okay. Those of you who've gotten the links, I will bring you in shortly, so you can join us for the remainder. So go ahead and check out your DMs. Name droid contest.
Yes, actually, I think this was the crew giving me a not so subtle hint that I wanted a name for the android. So I remember taking a picture of that. The fans, the crew were, it was like android.
The top prize, something That's shiny, great. Instantly.
Now,
I love that.
Did you find any inspiration? I don't know. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe your crew found inspiration from the whole Voyager thing, about the whole drama about whether the Doctor was ever going to be named on Voyager.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Although technically the Doctor got a couple of names throughout the series, so
he did.
I'm waiting to see if the android gets any fun nicknames. We'll see.
Attention all patients.
Yes.
You have recently traveled outside Shafu 2. or had close contact with someone who recently traveled outside Sheffield with that person now ill. Now you have fever, cough, trouble breathing, rash, vomiting, or diarrhea. Please tell staff immediately.
I thought this
Shockingly
was
relevant.
this was apropos given
Very
the
real.
present circumstances.
Yeah, totally.
How prescient.
Oh man. You could probably print those out and use them as posters nowadays.
Wow.
Oh, that makes me want to put it up at our office. We have a picture of the dog that you saw earlier. It has a mask on. She posed with it. We have that on the front of the office.
Aww.
Walk-in clinic policy. All patients must provide a galactic health identification card. We do not prescribe any narcotics, hallucinogens, or mood-altering substances. We do not repeat phone-in prescriptions. All patients must arrange follow-up appointments for any x-ray or lab results. Although this is a walk-in clinic, priority is given to those patients with pre-booked appointments. We apologize if you are subject to a long waiting period. We must occasionally administer to emergencies, which take priority overall. Okay, that's pretty standard.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Cool.
Things haven't changed much.
Yeah, it sounded like they lifted it from another office.
Now, what about we're talking about the medical office? Now, what about 6? And what did you guys think about 6 in the in this whole scenario? Now, Joe, would it be expected that Roger Cross's character would have thought that he might be identified at the clinic, or?
Well, they go in. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, they go into it's a kind of a space station, and I think he even says later on that it's a space station that presumably is frequented by their type, mercs and criminals, but for some reason, they in particular have been flagged.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely yeah. I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah, he would have thought it might have been a safe environment for people who are on the periphery of society, right?
Exactly.
Okay, was this an obvious intention or just me reading into it? Because you have 2 who not only can count cards, but took out a whole room, including bodyguards. You have 1 who deliberately changed his identity to get with these people. 6 who is highly flagged. I was trying to remember where I was going with this point, but these aren't. Obviously, with this episode, it becomes these just aren't your standard criminals. These guys are a cut above. You got 4 who is world-class, super wanted guy who just killed or maimed 100 people in the royal family. So, oh gosh, I'm sorry. It had to do with, I lost my point, but either way, you're seeing a group. These just aren't average criminals. These are cut above, if you could say.
Yes, and as sort of the series goes on, you begin to sort of put the pieces on how they ended up on that ship, and including 1 and 5. 5 is really the outlier here because she is so unlike all of these characters. And yet, she's becoming kind of the glue that holds them together.
I think as well, without sort of ruining the future episodes, I think in the first 2 episodes where the corporations are actually dealing with them, sort of sets them up as a lot worse than your normal criminal.
Right.
Because why would the big corporations deal with someone if they're just your average sort of run-of-the-mill criminal?
Right.
And I like it because it's not like initially you think, okay, they must have murdered a lot of people. But now it's like, okay, they murdered a lot of people and have a very interesting skill set. They're just you're increasing their portfolio, if you will. You're like, all right, let's add on card counting next to murder and kidnapping. And I like seeing how much you can fit on that list.
Yes, Love Talk. This is the one where they all got in some kind of trouble. And I want to thank John Burns, Snafu situation, normal, all feffed up.
On the way.
Now, with the drinks and such for the bars and stuff, were those actual drinks, or is that just food coloring and water?
Mostly food coloring and water, but I mean, it was always amazing what they would find to put in those pill bottles. Like, I think when Roger is popping pills on the show, they're Tic Tacs, but you have to be careful because some of them were filled with like Pod Tides because they were nice and colorful.
Oh my god!
So, yeah, just anything that kind of popped.
See, we're ahead of the times.
Yeah. Be careful what you put in your mouth. But that goes for it's kind of general. Oh yes.
Oh,
there's
that's
that
well
nasty
done.
burn.
That is gnarly.
Do you want to mention anybody who's working on makeup on the show? Do you want to mention their names?
Yes. So that was Linda McCormick, our head makeup. Linda's amazing what she does, and she just kind of took me through. Okay, how gross do you want it to look? And she had various applications that you can apply to the skin, and then she'll use her paints and discolor it accordingly, and have it kind of fade in so that it looks like a part of his arm. And then, of course, I mean, you don't want. I mean, it's such a nasty burn. You don't want the character to basically have that for the rest of the show. So he, we introduced this technology, the skin graft technology, that allows him to repair the arm, so that in a later episode, you'll notice it pretty much heals.
Wow.
That'd be such a handy technology. The amount of times I accidentally trip over something, it would be so helpful just to all gone.
So I'm gonna bring in Joe. I'm gonna bring in for the remainder of the episode just a couple of people from the from our fandom, from our audience.
Sure.
And they are all big Joe Malazzi fans. They are huge Joe Malazzi fans. And I want to bring in Peggy, who is also a big Orville fan.
Peggy!
And before I forget, today is Seth MacFarlane's birthday. So happy birthday, Seth.
Happy
and many
what birthday
more.
I've got.
Yeah, you got a couple of birthday buddy there.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, Peggy.
Hello.
Hello.
Peggy.
Hello.
Hi,
You
Peggy.
guys can hear me. Yay. Hi, how are you?
How are you? Did you enjoy this episode 4, Peggy?
I did. I'm actually trying to watch them 1 week at a time with Katie because I did originally watch it 1 week at a time when they first came out. So it's been kind of fun going, oh, wait, doesn't that? Oh, no, I can't say anything because of Katie. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot about that. So it's been kind of, I'm trying, Katie, to stay with you on track once a week just to get the refresh connections.
I'll get strength from you. We'll just work off of each other.
You and I we need to do more things together, girl.
Yeah.
Joe, it is so nice to talk to you. I've been watching since PJ started doing this, and finding out that you worked on Forever Night, which I also binged this summer, was wow! I love that. I have to get autographs.
I would love to say that is true. Unfortunately, that is not.
You worked on it. You didn't work on Forever Night?
I did not.
How did you get on IMDb with that then? Because you're on IMDb at that.
Not under my name. Really?
Okay.
Could
really?
they have credited something you wrote?
Yeah, I think you're listed on something.
You still want to stick around though?
I'll look around. I'll look for you. I know. I love you from Stargate, sweetheart. I've been a Stargate fan, and trust me, you're
I'm going looking for Forever Night.
Is it possible that they could credit something you wrote, Joe?
Not really, because I would have. I would have remembered writing for Forever Night.
All right. Well, anyway, I love you from Stargate. So
fantastic! All is forgiven.
And the Orville. So you have to go with that too.
I do. Sorry, Peg. I'm just going to bring in somebody else. I'm going to bring in.
Great.
I'm going to bring in Gap Stargate, who has been a good friend of the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, welcome, Gap Stargate. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey there.
How goes?
And Gap Stargate has been giving us
how's
some
everybody
great,
doing?
great posts for Dark Matter. Thank you for your post, Gap Stargate.
Well, I have to thank Joe, and it's really glad to be on this with him and everybody else. Joe, you've inspired me since I must be a weird person, but I love Stargate, but I was really interested in the writing and the directing and the behind the scenes and the lighting and all of this stuff and editing. And so, Joe, you inspired me to do all these Stargate videos that I post and then the Dark Matter videos. So thank you.
Oh, fine. Well, thanks for the support. I mean, I love your tweets. Always inspired.
Well, thanks, Joe. Oh, this is my first broadcast, so I'm a virgin broadcaster.
You're good.
Oh, welcome to the group.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a learning curve.
It is a learning curve. My mother was like, "Do you have time to eat or go to the bathroom?" And I said, "Well, it's called a green room, and I'm waiting in the green room." So, but anyway, what I wanted to ask was the scene with Six and the doctor. Mm-hmm. That was just so incredible. The way that was laid out. How do you block out scenes, and how do they hit their marks, and how do you know how much to write for the allotted time you have?
Well, I mean, it really depends. I mean, usually a script, well, for now, 1 hour script, I would say like 53, 54 pages, but it really depends. On Stargate, the actors spoke so quickly that our scripts would number, like we have to write 60-page scripts, then they wouldn't board, meaning it would be tough to schedule them. In the case of that particular scene, the episode was directed by Amanda Tapping, but that scene was directed by our stunt coordinator, who also directed several episodes, several of my favorite episodes on the show. His name is John Stead. And I mean, the director usually has a shot list in mind. So essentially, on the day, he'll come in with already a plan in place to how he wants to shoot the scene after sort of checking out the layout, and he'll talk to the actors and a lot of the times it'll be very collaborative. The actor will say, well, I think, I want to stand here. I want, on this line, I want to make a move. And so as kind of they rehearse, the director decides, okay, this is how I want to capture the scene. This is where I want the camera. We're going to do kind of the master, which is kind of the wide that, that captures everyone, and then we can go into the close-ups and what we call coverage. So I mean, really, kudos to John Stead for that particular scene and sequence. I mean, he did a really good job, and it was based on his work on these second unit scenes that I ended up giving him his first episode, which I believe was episode 10.
What I thought was really funny about that scene was it was very reminiscent of Beetlejuice. I just had that kind of just the long waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, did somebody really like Beetlejuice? I don't know. Just the waiting in the waiting room. Apparently, even to the future, waiting rooms are just going to be like that. They're
sad, isn't it?
Old outdated magazines on the table.
Oh, when you walk in, it's just the wet, croupy cough. I was like, you know what? I'll live with the scar. I'm gonna walk out.
I like the guy having to wake him up. Like, it's your turn. Like, I mean, in Beetlejuice, the guy would have just taken his turn, but in this, at least he was nice and took it, or woke him up for it. So,
I'm gonna bring in. Oh, go, Peggy. I'm going to let you ask your question.
Okay.
Go ahead, ask your question real quick, and I'm going to bring in our remaining guests. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was you talked about having the audience come up with the title names. And for this one, while I was going through it, I came up with 2. I came up with Tilt, which I just thought tilt, pivot, tilt, drop, when they're in the chair. I thought that was a great title. And Pain Stick would have worked too. And then I thought maybe because of 5 and 2, something like what's the game that they were playing with the ball, the 3 card Monte or shell game. Game would have worked as a title. So what titles, Katie, did you come up with, and Matt, when you were watching Adega? Anybody come up with some
Bad
good
Deal.
titles? Bad Deal. There you go. That works. Something like that. What would you have titled it, Joe?
I wouldn't have titled it. In fact, actually, I never titled any of my episodes because I hate titling episodes, which is why I left it to the fans.
Which one would you have chosen then? How about that?
To be honest with you, I kind of prefer to base them on the bits of dialogue from the episode. So I probably would have had to source out some of the dialogues from the episode, three lines of dialogue, and then again had the fans decide.
Yeah, that's what I was doing when I was doing it. I was like, okay, Tilt is said like over and over, and Pain Stick and that. So that's why I was like, I'm going with the dialogue.
Right.
So I want to bring in real quick. I want to bring in our 2 remaining guests from the audience. I want to introduce a gentleman who is recently started his own YouTube channel. So hello, live at the Love Shack. Welcome, live at the Love Shack.
Hello.
Hello, masked up. Great.
Hello. Suddenly everybody start to use sunglasses, and then I think, damn it. Everybody caught me. I was copying a dagger.
And I want to bring in another Love
I
Shack.
have bags under my eyes.
I have bags under my eyes too.
Love Shack is a big joke.
I look like a Palpatine. Start to get old and look like Palpatine.
Oh yeah, you said that.
It's a tragedy.
Like
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
And I'm going to bring in our last. I'm going to let you ask a question, Love Shack. But I'm going to bring in. Corrine, who is our last member for today.
Yeah, she's
our. Hello, Corine. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Thank you for having me.
Corine's our resident 5 tonight.
Hey, Coco.
That's why I went with the green makeup and the jacket.
Love Shack, did you want to ask a question? Is there?
It was supposed to be a wig.
Sorry.
Oh,
naughty me.
Now let's see. The producer eats my homework, so I can say, look, I'm on the top news directing that episode. Oh, thanks God, nobody talked about that until now. Oh, damn it, the producer talked about that. Too late. I have nothing to say, except that scene when Ishida goes to check the ring. Guardians of the Galaxy rip off that scene completely. I must mention that.
The what?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy rip off that scene from episode 4 when Thor goes to check the ring, and suddenly the guy look. Oh, what? This ring is from. Oh my God! This ring is from the House of Ishida. I should never be touched that. No. I have nothing to do with that. Get out! Guardians of the Galaxy rip off that scene. Remember the first movie?
I don't remember the scene. If that's the case, then I am honored that James Gunn actually watched Dark Matter. So please.
It's basically the same scene, point by point. The first time Yondu goes to the shop on that planet, I don't remember now. Check Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie.
I'll have to check it out.
Same scene.
Corrine, I'm going to ask you a question and I'll let you ask a question if you want. But now it has been suggested by Joe that you might be good for doing a fan film.
That was really nice of you to say, Joe. But I'm not like a professional actor, but I kind of do it as a hobby.
Mhm.
So I would totally be up for doing
Well,
a fan film if I could.
I've been checking out your the TikToks you post on Twitter. Very
Oh, dear.
entertaining.
Oh dear, yeah.
Joe,
I'm crazy, man.
excuse
You
me.
act, you direct.
We love
edit.
you, Coco.
Excuse me, Joe.
Yes.
I must point. I must point something. Dark Matter start the zipper jackets before Orville made it cool. Three jackets. Everybody notice 3 jacket has a lot of zippers. And Seth MacFarlane rip off that. The only difference is made it blue.
Yeah. I don't
Three
know.
three
I don't know.
three leather is legitimate leather.
Yeah.
Three vest is legitimate leather with a lot of zippers.
Yeah.
And
We
none of
can't-
them
we-
work.
Sadly, we can't really lay claim to ownership of space zippers. But
It's
you know,
fun, it's
again,
fun.
if Seth MacFarlane watched Dark Matter, I am honored as well.
Probably.
All right, and I just want to bring in one more person who's popped in, and this is Adega's other half from the Strangeness show. The Planetary Union Barber, Fortean Barber, is here. Welcome, Fortean.
Oi, oi.
Hey.
The Fortean Barbarian Zone.
Hello. All right. I don't know if my internet's working that great
This
on the
looks-
computer. Let me know if I'm all buggy or
Thi-
whatnot.
We can hear you.
No, you're good. It looks
You
like
see
the
the
Brady
beautiful
Bunch
icon.
screen.
We can hear you. I was going to say we're now Brady Bunch, and we got 9.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, we look like the Brady Bunch.
Well, the weather in England tonight is not horrible.
Okay, so
It is
Joe,
red.
what about this next
Oh.
picture? What about this next picture that you shared with us?
Okay.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was talking about. I had a choice of what what the wound would look like on Roger. So these are just part of like applications that you can put on the arm to make it look like a burn or a gunshot or what have you, and then you apply some makeup and voila, the magic of television.
That
It looks like chocolate
I
lots
have
to
some of that on
eat.
my arm. I have some of that on my arm already.
You need to get that checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, how'd you get that checked out if you got that on your arm?
I was gonna say I've dabbled in special effects makeup before, so I know how much fun that is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's on the arm and not on the face. I think on the face it would just make me itch more.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
at
there
least
we
on
go.
your arm you can kind of. There you go.
That's supposed to be a gunshot.
I'm not sure. That actually is just the backing that just kind of peels off as an application.
It looks like banana chips.
It looks like a banana.
Yeah.
Cut the banana and you see. In small.
See
Yeah,
now,
banana
now you
chips.
guys- you could product that out for cons now. You got banana chip
Instant wound.
peeling, instant wound,
Yeah.
banana chip something.
Yeah, you can do it with peaches too.
Peaches are a little bit more slimy.
Well, we need the red.
I did have a question. When you brought everybody back together and they're all coming back in on the ship,
Mhm.
and so are they going to leave them behind? Are they going to keep them? I think with 3, and Katie's not here unfortunately because I'd like to have gotten her opinion, but the fact that when 3 comes back and covers for 1.
Mm-hmm.
I really there's an instance where he's talking and you get the feeling that he's actually covering and then he comes up with the reason for why he did it. It was more like instinctually he went to defend and then he was like, oh, when forced to ask or when forced by Wanda to respond to why he did it, he was kind of like, oh, because I'm going to blackmail you later. But it was more his instinct was to cover and then to blackmail. I found, at least when watching it again. But that's more because we've been talking about instinct versus expectance. Like you expected 3 to go ahead and blackmail and then defend, and in this case, he kind of just went, "Oh well, we both did it," blah blah blah. And then when one comes and asks him, he's like, "Because I'm going to blackmail you. That's why, of course, because I'm going to blackmail you because that's what you expect me to be saying." So, did you think that when you were going through writing it for that, or
No.
no?
I mean,
3 was just going to blackmail
3.
regardless.
Yes, in fact, that's why when 1 shows up, it's like he's waiting for him to show up, and he is utterly delighted, and kind of makes him squirm. So, I mean, again, that goes to 3's character. He's an opportunist, and
Right.
But I love him.
Well, I think he's an opportunist, but I think it was interesting that he went ahead and did it so smoothly, and then yes, he did expect one to come and ask him, but I think it felt to me like he came up with the reason to give him after he already defended him. It was just in that one little. But then it's kind of funny because you go back to 2 sitting there and telling both gentlemen the exact same thing. And I said earlier in the chat that it reminded me very much of the first episode of Leverage, where Timothy Hutton's character sits there and says the exact same thing to all of them, but it's the way he says it that you go, oh. It was a fun dynamic writing. It was a good writing scene.
I think it was also great in the scene when they were tied to the chairs, where it took him literally 10 seconds of seeing 2 versions of one to switch into, right, how can I make this into a deal where I walk out of here alive? Don't care if you kill him.
Joe, for that particular scene, did you run out of rope? Because the wires are a little hard to cut.
Yeah.
Did it have to be wire?
In real life hurts a lot. In real life hurts a lot.
Joe, is this like maybe a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Shot?
No, this was actually we always did our read-throughs at lunch, and in this case, I don't know, maybe Alex had kind of a late night, and we were shooting episode 4, and we had the read-through for episode 5 on the location, and this cast got along very well. There's a place called Spin near here that is a ping pong place, and they always used to get together like Friday nights and play ping pong together, and they still keep in touch, which is nice. But you can just see Jodelle and Alex got along very well.
Well, and Joe, do you want to take this question? Who was the concept artist that designed the Raza?
Yeah, that was Bartol Rendelek, and it was him and James Robbins, who's our former production designer on Stargate, designed some other stuff. So Bartol designed the Raza. He designed some of the other stuff. I mean, I have to break down individually, but I remember James designing the Marauder and the space station.
There was supposed to be a Transformer. The Dark Matter title hints a little bit about that.
Ensign Ricky.
Yes, Ensign Ricky.
Yeah, three reminds me of Jane, Firefly, but way smarter. Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that when the show first premiered, people were like, "Oh, he's just Jane from Firefly," but it takes a while for us to kind of peel the onion on 3 and discover, what lies beneath the surface.
Yeah, I think at this point, episode 4, I was still like, I don't really like you.
Know about, yeah.
I'm not sure about you.
Anybody notice the fact 3 and Han Solo use the same pants? Same pants design.
Yeah, it's probably
check the red stripe.
Yeah, that was I'm sure Noreen Landry, our costume designer, was inspired.
Thank you, Edson, Ricky. And so, Joe, it says Amanda. You guys can't. I don't know if you guys can see it from here. It says courtesy of Amanda tapping.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally, after the directors would, I mean, it's not always the case, but occasionally the directors would sometimes on the last day get something, like they'd get like a churro truck, or, in this case, Amanda got the coffee stand, which is always appreciated. You can get your lattes and various coffees in there for the afternoon.
Cool.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Definitely my kind of woman.
As a thank you to the crew, which is very nice of her.
Lovely.
Wow. Cool. Joe, were there any? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who?
Oh, Joe. I thought Joe was going to mention something. Joe, was there any other? Were there? Obviously, regarding any. Disregarding anybody from Stargate universe that is going to show up. Were there any other Stargate actors that were maybe going to come on the show but didn't?
I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I can't really think. I mean, I know we went out to like various actors, and for scheduling, reasons, some weren't able to sort of come on board. But I mean, I don't want to give anything. Is Katie still here? Or is she gone?
She's off right now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we did get David. We did get Tori. I'm just trying to think. Mike Dopin was an actor that I wanted to get on the show. I think he's been on almost every show I've done, and so I definitely wanted to get him and he doesn't make an appearance till season 2, but we got him. And if we'd done a season 4, there was a part for Robert Picardo.
Oh well.
But sadly, we did not get that season 4. So
I would have liked to see Chris come on as a character somewhere.
Oh, Chris Judge. Yeah.
Because I when you were talking about 3 being the comedian behind the scenes, Chris is the kind of guy I would, having met him, know that he'd be the trickster behind the set. His character being so strict on Stargate, being the jokester backstage.
Right.
And he's a nice guy, so it's one of those kind of things where when you get a picture of him smiling just like 3, it's like, oh, that's a totally different person.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see him come on somewhere, maybe as a brother or a cousin, or the guy who actually finally catches them all or something.
Please.
And by the way, I love TT's comment. Peeling the onion. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
Ask a question
Love Shack, you were
about when the gang comes back with no weapons.
They're in worse shape.
I just want to ask a question: when the gang comes back, when 1 and 3 come.
Lost you. Yep, lost
I
you.
hope to see Dark Matter TNG at some point. Maybe after COVID season 2.
Question.
Go ahead, Gap Stargate. Maybe we can.
We lost you.
Ask it again.
Or type it and we can reread it.
Right.
Yeah, if you want, you can type it in the private chat if you want.
By the way, John Burns asks, Joe, why would the Galactic Authority tell the Doctor to try to apprehend someone who's on the galaxy's top 10 most wanted list?
Okay, I wanted
Seems
to
unwise.
ask, when the gang comes back.
Wow.
So
there's some lag there.
By the way, to answer John Burns' questions, it's not specifically a message sent to the Doctor. It's essentially a kind of galaxy-wide alert. So, it's like a most wanted thing. So she sees it, or he sees it, and it's like, okay, apprehend. So he's not going to apprehend himself. He's going to basically contact the authorities, who are, the station authorities, who essentially come on the scene, but they arrive too late.
Well, I would have figured what he's going to do. He's going to take them and. Sorry, go ahead.
They obviously forget to mention the size of Roger Cross.
Right.
You sure want to catch that. Come on,
Well, I
doctor.
think the doctor's idea of knocking him out would have worked if he hadn't caught on as quickly as he did. Because, I mean, but when you were reading off all the things, wasn't one of the things saying that we don't give you drugs? And it was kind of like, oh, well, if you're going to stab me with a needle, why are you stabbing me with a needle? This is for an arm issue. So.
But I think that
Stargate.
showed in his face, though, didn't it? When he saw the screen, it was like, "What the hell do I do with this now?"
Oh yeah.
Gap Stargate, write your question because we can't hear you. So write your question, and we will read it. And Joe, do you want to mention this? Anything about this picture?
Yeah, that is our first assistant director, Brandon Tatarin. I think it's. I remember. I'm trying to remember the last name because we actually named the disease after him. After the name in season 2, I think it's Tatarin's disease. So, Brandon, amazing first AD, and of course, pictured here with the lovely Amanda Tapping, our director.
That was after she did Sanctuary.
Yeah, I think so.
Looks like.
Joe, Peggy brought a question up when she came on that I wanted to ask you. I didn't get a chance to ask. What did you think about? Why would a show like I'm not sure. Do you watch The Expanse?
I don't.
Okay. Well, you're familiar with it though, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar. So why would a show like The Expanse wait till this? Like it's just now that they're going to drop weekly. Why do you think the decision would be made to drop it all at once for a binge watch? Because it's been hurting them the last few years. Because they drop it all at once. Like they drop the series all at once on Amazon, and it's great, but it's like then the rest of the year people aren't really talking about it, because it's so short.
Right.
Is there might there be a reason for continuing to drop it the binge watch model?
I think it also depends on the streamer. I mean, the streamer may prefer to have it, bingeable, as opposed to sort of on kind of a weekly basis, because weekly basis is something more like kind of a network thing. But I mean, on the other hand, I totally understand the creators of the show wanted it to be weekly, because, as you said, once it's dropped, there's that initial flurry, and then it's off the radar till next year. So I mean, all the more reason to. And also, I mean, I just think, having watched shows like The Sopranos and Breaking Bad, I love being able to watch it on a weekly basis and kind of look forward to what's coming up next. And sort of you foster those conversations with your coworkers and friends. What you expect, you theorize. So I mean, I totally understand why they would want to do it on a weekly basis. But on the other hand, I mean, I really think it's really more of a streamer decision in terms of sort of dropping it.
Can I say something?
Sure.
One of the things I find interesting is with Dark Matter, having watched it originally week by week, you get that water cooler. Did you see what happened that we used to have with regular shows every week or weekly shows? And what I find interesting is that if you were to do a season 4, if that had come about now or was going to come out, I could see them dropping the entire 3 seasons ahead to let people catch up, which is what I think they've been doing for a lot of shows. And I think, like right now, I think Discovery, Star Trek Discovery has been dropped for the last 2 seasons, so people can catch up to now that they're doing it week by week. The Mandalorian's doing it week by week. So a lot of shows it's interesting to watch a lot of these streaming shows come back to the week by week thing to expand it. I think with COVID, especially because we're losing a lot of shows because of COVID, have not been able to do it. So they're spacing them out. But I think even without COVID, I think Disney would have still done Mandalorian week by week like they did originally. I think Discovery would have come out week by week. I think Orville should be coming out week by weeks and not dropping it all at once, because people want to have that hope to look forward to for the next week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think in this case right now, COVID is helping us get back to the week by week thing, but it's also giving
Good
us
point.
a chance to drop everything prior, the seasons prior, to catch up, because we're all going, let's binge through Dark Matter. Well, yeah, we can, because it's already it's a complete set. It's like my husband says, I can't buy a series until the series ends on DVD,
Right.
because it's like, no, if you don't like the last episode or the last season, why would we buy the whole series? But I'm like, but I liked that. I liked the series up until season 5.
Yeah.
So at least you can do that with Doctor Who. I don't think, and you can do that with Stargate.
Mhm.
But I don't
I
think
wanna-
you could do that with other ones.
Those are good points, Peggy.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thanks. I want to read Gap Stargate's question because we could not hear him. Okay, my question is: the scene where 1 and 3 come back with no money and weapons is really wanting back with no money and weapons is really wanting a friend.
Oh, that's actually an interesting
what?
point, but
Sorry?
no.
Is what?
I think the question comes back to having come back with
Yeah.
no money and no weapons is 3 coming back wanting a friend now. He's like, well, I didn't come back with any of these, but now I have a friend. And I don't think
No,
1 is a friend. I think he's still an enemy.
No.
I think he wants a better chance to beat 2 in an argument.
Yeah.
3 don't need. 3 after that. 3 don't have a friend. 3 have a new bitch.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe.
Joe, what? That's an interesting. Do you want to comment on that little agreement that they? Why is it so important for? Why is it so important for 1 to keep it a secret? Do you want to comment on that?
I think his standing amongst the rest of the crew is very precarious, and especially, with regards to 2. So he is nervous, essentially, that even though he doesn't come out and say it, that 3 may be right. The fact that he's stolen someone's face, that he's not who he claims to be, could make him the guilty party. And even though he doesn't remember, he certainly doesn't feel guilty, is essentially buying himself time to find out the truth.
Interesting you say that, because not giving any spoilers, but the relation between 3 and 2 is about to get a little more precarious in the next episode.
Yes.
I think also at this point, when you do get to episode 4, although they're starting to get along, I think a lot of them feel like, if I can just get that upper hand just in case I need it, because there's still not this complete 100% trust in everyone. Right. So I feel like that's probably that's how I interpreted it anyway. Like, yeah, we're working together, but there's still an element of distrust among them.
And that's exactly it. I mean, 3 doesn't operate on trust. He operates on manipulation. And so he sees an opportunity here. He's going to sort of take it and have someone who can back him up. By the way, that is a photo. We all lived in the same building during the first season. So there's Roger from left to right. There's Lawrence Bancroft Wilson, who's our visual effects coordinator, Akemi, my wife, Jodelle, and Roger. And they would come up every Sunday night, and I would make bourbon milkshakes, and we would watch The Walking Dead.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Cool. Joe, do you want to look at take Time Prophet's question? What is the difference between writing a graphic novel script and writing a script for Dark Matter?
Sure, formatting really. When you're writing for a comic book, you take on the role of a director. So in the regular script format, format I work in, you describe the scene and then you just have the characters talk. When you're writing for a comic book, you have to break it down by page and then by panel, and then you have to specify what is a shot. Is it a medium shot? Is it a character looking out the window? You have to be very specific for the artist. Certainly, I found that writing for comic books is a lot more involved, and I think that the closest I come to it is envisioning almost like a director storyboarding a scene. So you have to visually convey panel by panel how you want to see the story unfold.
You must do
Which one do
special
you
episodes
prefer?
Just for.
I
must do
definitely
special
prefer
episodes-
writing for television because that's what I do.
Excuse me. You must do a special episode just for the comic book because the comic book is an entire different budget.
Yes, true.
If you make a comparison between the final product on TV and the comic book, man,
Yeah,
a lot of goo, a lot of explosions. I read the comic book.
Yeah,
It's
the
fantastic.
last two issues, especially the last issue of the comic book, is we had a comic book budget, so we could actually put in a little more of those explosions and than we could in the TV series.
Whoever was able to catch the comic book, please check the difference between the moment Tree tried to open the vault with Bubba in the comic book and in the first episode, because that's a huge explosion.
Joe, sorry.
Go, Peggy. I just want to make sure. We get Fortian in here. Fortian, do you have a question you want to ask? And
yeah, if it's all right, just to completely off the chart in a way. So it's a Stargate question, if that's all right.
Yay.
Yeah. I don't know if it's been covered before. I'm always asleep when any of this is going on, generally speaking. But is there any chance of a continuation of the SG1 universe, whether that be a movie or a TV movie or any TV shows coming up?
That is in the hands of Brad Wright, who is the co-creator of SG1, Atlantis and Universe. I know he has been in talks with MGM, and he is actively looking to set up a fourth Stargate series. So, I think COVID has thrown a curveball into that, but hopefully it happens. I mean, I haven't heard about any developments recently, but there's something definitely in the works.
Oh, nice. Oh, see, that's good news.
Corrine, I want to make sure you did you have a question you wanted to ask? Is that Gap?
People don't drop
sure.
the ball.
I think it might have been, but he's gone again, bless him.
Gap. So we had asked your question, and I think Joe kind of answered it that he did not feel that there was that it was for friendship when they come back without the money and the weapons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's definitely playing the angles.
I look like I'm on a. Yeah, I love that part, and I apologize in my new background because I'm in the boonies and I'm on my balcony to get a good Wi-Fi. So I'm out in the jungle right now.
Nice.
Getting some sunshine.
We're gonna have to let Joe's been very generous with us, guys, and I just want to make sure we get Corrine to ask a question.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is my third rewatch, I think, and obviously I do find it really interesting how going from watching it all back and what you pick up. I think what I found really interesting was how in this particular episode you managed to develop things but still leave us wanting more and like questioning. So like we learned more, but at the same time we were almost questioning more. So I thought that was really good. And my question was like, was there a specific reason that you paired everyone off for this particular episode?
Well, the 1 in 3 relationship was something that I kind of wanted to get the ball rolling on very quickly, and I wanted to develop. So that's why they kind of paired off. 4 was always kind of the solitary individual, so I kept him alone. And by virtue of the fact that I paired 2 and 5, 6 ended up alone. And I just paired 2 and 5 just because, surprisingly, in sci-fi, it's something I rarely see. the two women teaming up and just dealing with, you know, whatever. And I just find these two characters intriguing. And what I wanted to do is also, once again, juxtapose what we find out about 2 and get a glimpse of her brutal nature and see the flip side, which is 5, and how she responds and almost sort of catatonic sort of display. And the fact that these are 2 very different individuals. And yet at the end, you see that 2 is very much trying to be the mother and trying to reach out and connect with 5, who essentially just cuts her off. And, you know, again, we're hinting at developments to come.
I kind of liked the fact that you're watching the 2 girls play off together, and it's being directed by Amanda, and you could so see Carter just getting in there with them and going and playing Vegas and doing the craps with them, and the women of sci-fi. I think, like, I could have seen Kaylee from Firefly coming in and hanging out with them. You can see all the women in sci-fi getting together and doing Vegas. I think that'd be a great show. Let's see that. You know, let's all these sci-fi women, and the men just kind of being on the outside, getting their bro time on. I'm not sure Jack would have been able to hang out with 1 and 3, but or 1 and 3, but or 1 and 3 or 4. He'd probably be more like 4 and go off on his own. But I was going to ask a quick question. I'm not sure if you're a gamer or not, but would you have ever thought about making a video game for Dark Matter? Had the fans sat there and said, "Hey, we're really liking this and we want to continue." Would you have made like a short?
My gaming experience is limited, and certainly, I mean, I wouldn't know the first thing about actually making a game. And ultimately, the rights are complicated because they rest mainly with a production company. From a personal standpoint, I would be all on board. But
you could have come up with the clues and having the big explosions like we would have seen in the comic books.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a way to continue the story.
That's a way to go. Yeah.
Good question, Peggy. Yeah, go ahead, Love Shack.
So MALLOZZI, why Zoe Palmer was the only one on board sleeping in the horizontal position?
In her case, it wasn't so much a stasis. She wasn't really in stasis. She was essentially just in sleep mode.
Oh, did you ever try to sleep in the vertical, man? Have you any idea how hard it is?
Right. So she's asleep as opposed to being in stasis.
Yeah, but the body has a tendency to go down. There was no harnesses.
Joe, do you want to take John Burns' question as the last question?
Was concern for 5 the reason 2 never went back to get her money from the blackjack table? In fact, no. At that point, it was concern for all of it, for both of them, self-preservation. At that point, she was worried that they'd been found out, and she wanted to get back to the ship as quickly as possible.
Okay. Guys, I really, Joe has been very generous. And
can I do a quick
you,
shout
Joe.
out?
Go ahead, real quick.
Frozen. Oh.
I did want to.
Go ahead if you have a last comment. Peggy.
I just wanted to do a quick.
Gap. We can't hear you, so write it, and I will put it on screen. Write it, and I will put it on screen. Last comment, Peggy, and we're going to turn it over. We're going to go.
I was just going to say that this wasn't really an Android episode, but her one scene was very memorable, and it could have actually been the title was "You Changed Your Hair, I Like It." But she did have that one tiny little scene, so it was good.
She's always great.
Yeah, this is where I kind of started to really like her, because it just felt like she was like, I'm trying to be nice, but I don't know how
she's
to.
She's trying to make friends.
Yeah, she's trying to connect everybody. And oh, I like your haircut.
Last question. Why she talk like Alfred Wesker?
She's a big Alfred Wesker fan.
Oh, that makes sense.
Joe, I want to thank you for you've been so generous. Is there any comment that you want to say before we go, Joe?
No, just thank you. Thank you so much for everybody and the panel for joining us.
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank
you so much for having us and answering.
Thank you,
Always,
everybody.
Joe, thanks.
I want to remind everybody if you're not registered to Orville 24/7, they are having a Halloween contest for costume Halloween contest. So you can send a picture of yourself, and there's a few more days to participate. I am putting the link in the chat. So please go ahead and register. It's the Orville 24/7 is put together by Lydia and Tink from the Orville community, and it's a great website. And you can register and participate in their in their chats and all the information that they have there. So I wanted to mention them real quick. And again, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Matt, for participating. Thank you, Adega.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Happy birthday, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Matt.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting everybody.
And thank you for everybody who's joined us. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank Louise, Colin, Jeff, the Ascended Ancient, TT, Rise. Everybody has been so participating. And thank you again, Joe, for Ensign Ricky, John Burns. Thank you, Joe, again, for taking so many questions today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You guys all have a great night. Stay safe. Great night, great day. Stay safe, and we will be back. We will be back soon with more dark matter. With
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Be safe.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Joe.
Whoa. 2.5 hours. That's a record.
No, I think we've gone 4. PJ can go. Thank you, PJ, for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.